Good morning to all. This is Subhashri from CSA department, SNSCT. So now we are going to see about carbohydrates, lipids and proteins. So macromolecules in polymers will combine together and form these proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, everything. So macromolecules in the sense, macro is means big. When the definition of big is big whole molecule. So carbs, lipids and proteins are all the members of this group. Then when polymer comes, poly is nothing but many. A macromolecule made of repeating units called monomers. Mono means one. Carbs, lipids, proteins are all also members of this group. So polymers only made of this monomers. So dehydration synthesis. So dehydration is nothing but lacking of water. So synthesis is to make the water. So definition, the process of creating carbs, lipids and proteins by removing the water or by lack of water. This is known as this is animation of this process is seen here, dehydration synthesis and hydrolysis. So how to break carb carbohydrates, lipids and proteins. Hydrolysis is nothing but hydro means water and lysis means to destroy. So definition of this is the process of destroying carbohydrates, lipids and proteins by the addition of water. How our bodies break down the foods we eat into monomers. So more collection of monomers is called as polymers. So that make them up, only monomers can be absorbed. So carbohydrates, grain-based foods. The sources are grain-based foods. For example, rice, wheat. We can say it. Chemical makeup is carbo means contains C. When hydration means contains oxygen and hydrogen, which is in the ratio of 2:1. Carbs are our main energy source. 55% to 65% of daily caloric intake is nothing but of this carbohydrates. So in South India, we are mostly using the carbohydrate contents only. So carbohydrates are polymers made up of monomers. So what are the monomers? Building blocks of carbs. There are several names. All mean the same thing. Monosaccharides, simple sugars. Who are the simple sugars? Ose, that is sucrose, fructose. We are saying no, like that. Ose means sugar. All have general formula C6. Carbons, hydrogen and oxygen. C6H12 and O6 combine to form this polysaccharides. So example, glucose, galactose, fructose are all isomers of one another. Okay. So next we have to see about the simple sugar structural formulas. So then disaccharides. Disaccharides means di means two, we already know that. Saccharides in the sense it means sugar. So what is the definition? We have to think about what is the definition of this hydropolymers. So in this double sugar made up of two simple sugars chemically combined, that is introducing the disaccharides, sucrose, table of sugar, glucose plus fructose. Addition of glucose and fructose combine sucrose. Then glucose and galactose combine together and form lactose, which is found in milk sugar. Then glucose and glucose combine together and form maltose, that is malt sugar. Okay. Polysaccharides. Poly means many, saccharides in the sense sugar. So a carbohydrate made up of many simple sugars chemically combined together, also called, it can also be known as complex carbohydrates. Introducing the polysaccharides. Starch, energy storage for plants, test for starch. Lugol stain turns starch purple. Cellulose means it's a fiber. It contains within the cell walls of plants. Will give the structure. Glycogen in the sense the energy storage for animals, mostly found in the muscle tissue. Chitin, exoskeleton of some animals. Then carbs. How the body uses glucose from food. Energy for life processes have been found only in this carbohydrates. Already I have said that rice and wheat are the main source of carbohydrates. Then extra glucose we can gain from glycogen for later use. Stored as glycogen in our body, it will be stored as glycogen for later use. If we didn't eat food, if you are in the diet or if you are in the fasting, the glycogen will get into the glucose format and it will help the body to regain the energy. So extra glucose in the sense stored as fat for much later use. Okay. Then energy from food. How much energy does each macronutrient have? So nutrients in the sense what? Proteins, magnesiums, potassiums, vitamins, minerals, everything. In the day-to-day life, we have to gain all those things for a healthy body and healthy living. So carbohydrates we have to take intake of 4 calories per gram. In protein 4 calories per gram and fat 9 calories per gram. So what is lipids? So dietary sources, high fat sources. What is the high fat sources? High fat sources are mutton, that is meat, then chicken, meat, chicken, beef, pork, and fishes, salmons, and all high fat sources. And chemical makeup, in the sense it contains of carbons, hydrogen, and oxygen. So lipids are our secondary energy source, mostly stored for later use. It will take a long time even also to digest. So next thing, categories of lipids. Waxes. What is the waxes? Ear wax, beeswax. Steroids means cholesterol and hormones. Lecithin means wraps nerve cells. Why is this important? Fats or oils. Animal fat, solid at room temperature. Plant oils, lipid at room temperature. Then what is the uses of lipids? Long-term energy storage is there, and the protection of cell membranes. How to build a lipid? Monomers, glycerol. So three carbon alcohol will form together and form a glycerol. Long chain fatty acids, that is a carbon chain. Several different types, saturated, unsaturated, polyunsaturated fatty acids are there. So created by dehydration synthesis. Already we have seen, if there is a lack of water, it will take a glucose or fructose to gain the energy, broken down into hydrolysis. Hydrolysis means giving the water, preventing the water scarcity inside the body. So fats, carbs, and proteins. What is this? Triple alcohol, we can say this, triple alcohol. Long chain fatty acid, long chain fatty acids will forms a lipid, that is a glycerol. Then types of fats: saturated fats, unsaturated fats. Which ones are more healthy? So saturated fats means that have all of their carbons filled with hydrogens, no double bonds in long chain fatty acid. When compared to saturated fats, unsaturated fats that don't have all of their carbons filled with hydrogens must contain a double bond line in long chain fatty acids. Which ones are more healthy? Unsaturated only more healthy. So proteins, the most important compound in your body is proteins.